Hello students, today we are going to discuss about next topic of this chapter, and that is fruits and seeds. First of all, let me discuss about the fruits. It is a ripened ovary. Okay, so this is the definition. What is the fruit? It is a ripened ovary developed after fertilization. Already I told you in previous lecture, after fertilization ovary will now develop into the fruit. So finally ovary will become fruit. It is a characteristic feature of a flowering plant. Any flowering plant will do the fruits formation. A fruit form without fertilization. Sometimes what happen in some plants, fruit may form without any type of fertilization event. Okay, and ovary itself will convert into fruit, and such a ovary is called parthenocarpic fruit. So without fertilization of ovary, such a kind of a fruit is formed, and such a fruit is called parthenocarpic fruit. Okay, so you must be remember this definition. What is a parthenocarpic fruit? It is a fruit formed without fertilization of ovary. Okay, and that is called parthenocarpic fruit. In a mango and a coconut, fruit is called drupe. You must remember a specific term which is used. Okay, here mango and coconut. Okay, here you can see the photograph. In the mango and the coconut, fruit is called drupe fruits. They are one-seeded and develop from monocarpellary superior ovaries. You know very well what is a superior ovaries now. Okay, having a monocarpel, one carpel, superior ovary. So here mango and coconut having a fruits, and that is called drupes. They are one-seeded, only one seed is present in such a fruit. Okay, so in the mango also only one seed will be there, coconut also one seed will be there. Such a fruit is called drupe fruit. They are having a one-seeded and develop from monocarpellary superior ovaries. Next, let me discuss. A fruit consists of pericarp, and that is called fruit wall. Outermost, you can see here, outermost wall is called fruit wall, and that is also called pericarp. It may be dry sometime or may be fleshy. So depend on that also, fruit may be divided into types. Okay, means the fruit may be dry or may be fleshy. Thick and fleshy pericarp is differentiated into outer epicarp. Here you can see in case of a mango, outer epicarp. Okay, then middle one is a mesocarp. This one yellowish portion. We are using it as a edible material. Okay, from the mango. Middle mesocarp. Then innermost is a endocarp. So internal is a endocarp. So by this we can say pericarp may be having three layers. Outermost is epicarp, middle one is a mesocarp, and then endocarp, like that. Okay, and seeds, let me discuss about seeds. In mango, the pericarp is well differentiated into epicarp. Here you can see epicarp, fleshy, edible mesocarp, and stony hard endocarp. Here innermost will be stony hard in case of mango. In coconut, the mesocarp is a fibrous. Okay, so here you can see this is the outermost is the exocarp, then mesocarp in the middle portion, and endocarp, this one is a harder portion. Okay, stony hard, it is written stony hard. Okay, and in the coconut, here mesocarp is a fibrous, this one. This portion is a fibrous. Okay, and that is we can say mesocarp, fibrous husk. Okay, outer is exocarp. Okay, then endo, this one. Okay, these all having this, you can see this middle having a fibrous husk. Okay, and these two fruits are considered as a drupe fruit. So now let me discuss how many types of fruits are available. So mainly fruits can be divided into three major types. Okay, that include simple fruits, aggregate fruit, and multiple fruits. Let me differentiate in between them. So first of all, let me discuss that what is a simple fruit. In simple fruit, only one flower will participate for the formation of a fruit. Okay, so if only one flower is participating into the formation of a fruit, then it is called simple fruit. Here you can see the example with example pea fruit. Here you can see only one flower is there. Okay, and inside one flower only one ovary is there. Okay, only one ovary is converted into fruits. Okay, so here you can see. And now here what happened, aggregate flower. Okay, here what happened, aggregate flower. That means here you can see one flower is there having many polycarpellary structures. So many number of carpels are present. 1 2 3 4 5 6 means you can see here gynoeciums are more than 2. Okay, so here what happened, only one flower is there, but gynoecium is only one. Here what happened, only one flower, only one gynoecium. Such a fruit is called simple, whereas here only one Flower is only one, but having so many number of a polycarpellus structure, means so many number of carpels. Like in this case, here you can see in raspberry flower. Okay, so here you can see only one flower is there, but having multicarpellary or a polycarpellary structure. So many number of carpels are there. Okay, and that's why here you can see the fruit which is formed is look like this. Okay, and that is a raspberry fruit, and such a fruit is considered as an aggregate fruit. And here each individual fruit like structure is called fruitlet. Okay, so here each carpel, I already told you so many number of carpel will be there. Each carpel will responsible for formation of a fruitlet, and here you can see so many number of fruitlet together combine and one complex is formed, and this complex is called aggregate fruit. Okay, and this is aggregate fruit. Now next is a multiple type of a fruit. So here what happened, whole you can see here, this is the inflorescence arrangement of flowers on a resicle. Okay, and here you can see these all flowers, so many number of flower together form only one fruit. So these all will be responsible for generating only one fruit together. Okay, so here only one flower taking part, here also one flower taking part, but here so many number of flowers taking part in the formation of a fruit, and such a fruit is called multiple fruit. Okay, so here in case of a pineapple you can observe this kind of fruits. So pineapple show inflorescence, means whole inflorescence, this whole structure, whole group of flowers will take part in the formation of a flower, this fruit you can see here. Okay, and each segment develop from the carpel of one flower. Okay, and that is this type of flower is considered as multiple fruits. So all of you may be very clear what is a simple fruit, what is aggregate fruit, and what is a multiple fruit, right? So now let me discuss about more about the fruit type. So fruit may be of two kinds, true fruits and false fruits. So first of all, let me define what is a true fruits. So fruit which is developed from the ovary is called true fruits. Okay, and fruit which is not developed from the ovary and it will develop from other than the ovary part, and that is called false fruit. So let me clear what is a true fruit. True fruits are the fruit which is developed only from the ovaries of the flower. Okay, whereas here what happen, other than the ovary, other part of a flower may be participate in the formation of a fruit, and if such a fruit is obtained, then it is called false fruit. So by this we can say fruit can be divided into two groups, simple fruit and false fruit, right? Now true fruits can be divided into three regions. Simple, as I told you in previous slide, aggregate and composite or a multiple, or we can say it as a collective fruit. Okay, so what is the difference between simple, aggregate and composite? Here only one flower will take part into formation of a fruit. One flower will have only one carpel. Okay, but here what happen, only one flower participate having more than two carpels. Here more than one flowers will taking part. So this is major difference between simple fruit, aggregate fruit and composite fruit. Composite fruit is also called multiple fruit or collective fruit. Now simple fruit can be divided further into two major groups, succulents and dry. Okay, and succulent further can be divided into berry fruit and draw fruit. Draw fruits I already told you about mango and coconut. Okay, some will be having berry type of fruits. Then dry fruits further divide into three regions, dehiscent, indehiscent and sezocarpic. So by this way, this is a whole chart which show you a types of a fruit. So let me discuss or define. Fruits can be divided into three major groups. Okay, true fruits, false fruit and parthenocarpic fruits. Okay, true fruits. What is a true fruits? Ovary develops into fruit without any non-carpellary part, and example here include tomato and mango. That means true fruit will be developed from the ovary. Okay, an example is a tomato and mango. What is a false fruit? Here what happened? Ovary and the non-carpellary or a floral part like a thalamus. You know very well thalamus is what? Okay, so in case of apple, thalamus will participate in the formation of a fruit. Okay, perianth will participate in the case of a jackfruit, and involans or a involucre or a perianth will participate in the formation of a English walnut. Okay, so other parts also participating for the formation of a fruit, and if such case is there, then it is considered as a false fruit. Okay, and in the first slide we have already discussed about parthenocarpic fruit. What is a parthenocarpic fruit? Here what happened, development of fruit occur without any type of fertilization. Okay, these two are developed by after the fertilization, but these one is not develop after the fertilization, but it is without fertilization it will develop, and they are seedless fruit. This is very important thing. Okay, so you must be remember parthenocarpic fruits are a seedless fruit. Here you can understand fertilization event not occur, right? And that's why you can understand here a seedless fruit will be developed because seeds are the result of a fertilization, right? So this example include banana. You may very aware about that banana do not have seeds. Okay, because it is parthenocarpic fruit, because this banana develop without fertilization, and that's why it is seedless fruit. Okay, so by this way this fruit can be divided into three major groups: true fruits, false fruit, and parthenocarpic fruits. And it may be asked as a differences. Okay, as a 2 marks, what is the differences between true fruits and false fruit and parthenocarpic? So now let me go through this chart. Okay, and by using this chart we can get the idea what is the example of a simple fruits, aggregate fruits, and composite fruits. Okay, so let me start with the simple fruit. So simple fruit, as I told you, it can be divided into two major groups: succulent fruit and dry fruits. Okay, so succulent fruit further divide into these all categories. It include drupes, berry, pepo. Okay, example you can see here the examples, and pome. Okay, then here Hesperidium, then Balusta, then Amphisarca. Okay, these all are the examples. You can see drupe include mango, coconut, almond. Berry include tomato, banana, brinjal, guava. Okay, pepper food will include cucumber. Pome will include apple, pear. Okay, then Hesperidium include orange, lemon, like juicy fruits. Okay, Balusta will include pomegranate. Okay, Amphisarca include Feronia and agar. Okay, so in dry fruit further can be divided into two major groups. Okay, capsular or capsular we can say, and dehiscent fruit, and this one is the acennial or a indehiscent fruit. Okay, so here you can see legume or a pod. Okay, it include gram or a pea seeds, then follicle, calotropis and michelia. Okay, then you can see Seleucia, it include radish, then Seleucula, it include eyeberries. Okay, these all are the example. You must be remember this example if you can. Okay, then capsule is a porous. Example is the papaver. Then transverse. In some cases is transverse. Calocasia is the example. Loculicidal, lady's finger. You know very well what is a lady's finger. Okra, that is we are calling it. Septicidal in case of a viola. Okay, septifragile in case of a datura. Just you have to remember the names with the example. Not more than that, because it is not included in the textbook. This is just extra for your NEET examination. Okay, then this is the aggregate fruit. Here Aterio of achenes. Okay, that means lotus and roses. Then Aterio, this means group of berries. Okay, this is a group. Aterio means it is the group, one type of a group or aggregate. Aterio of berries, that is Polyethia and custard apple. You may know about the custard apple. Asteria of the follicles, that is the calotropis and daphlinus. Then delphinum. Then anterior of drupes, that include raspberry. Okay, these all are the example. Okay, then here composite fruit include sorosis and syconus. So here sorosis include mulberry, pineapple, and jackfruit. These all are considered as soriasis. Okay, and the syconus include people and gular. Okay, so these all are the example. Try to remember if as much as you can do the possibility. Okay, so as much as you can remember, try to remember these all examples. So up to this, whatever we have discussed is all about fruits. So now let me discuss about the seeds. What is the seeds? It is the mature ovule. As I told you, ovule will convert or develop into seeds after fertilization. Okay, so this is the definition. It is the mature ovule developed after fertilization. A seed is made up of seed coat and the embryo. Okay, an embryo is made up of radicle. You know very well, embryo having a radicle. This one, this portion, which is responsible for development of a root system, and this is a plumule, which is responsible for development of a shoot system. Okay, so any embryo which is inside the seed there will be the embryo. This one is the embryo. Okay, and that is responsible for development of a whole plant. Okay, and it will include radicle and plumule. This tip portion is a plumule and this one is a radicle, and from radicle only root system will develop, and from plumule shoot system will be developed. So embryo is made up of radicle and embryonic axis, and one you can see eggs in the case of example is one wheat and maize, and two cotyledon. Sometime one cotyledon in case of a wheat and maize, and two cotyledon in case of a gram and a peas. Okay, so here you can see outermost layer is a seed coat. Okay, seed is made up of seed coat and embryo. So here you can see outermost layer is a seed coat, and here one region is there which is called hilum. Okay, and one pore like structure is there which is allowing water to enter inside them. Okay, and that is called micropyle. This whole structure, the seed coat is not permeable for water. Okay, means it is a water resistance. Okay, only one segment here, the pore is there, which is only responsible for the entry of a water inside the seed. Okay, and then if you remove this seed coat, then you will observe this one. Okay, it will have cotyledon in case of you can see gram and pea like organisms or plants. Here cotyledon will be 2 in this case. Okay, in dicot plants only 2 cotyledon will be there, and inner side you will be observe this embryo, and this embryo will have radicle, one axis and plumule. Okay, and here you can see the photograph of the flower. This is a stigma, ovary wall, ovule. Okay, what is the seed? You can see ovule after fertilization convert into seeds. Okay, this is the ovary. You can see whole structure of ovary now become fruit. Ovary become fruit, and ovule inside the ovary become seeds. Okay, so this is a development after fertilization event. Now first of all let me discuss about dicotyledonous seeds. Okay, so first of all we will discuss about dicotyledonous seeds. So the outermost covering of a seed is a seed coat, as I told you. Okay, here in case of you can see here brown color is a seed coat. Seed coat has a two layer. Outer is a testa and inner is a tegment. Just you have to remember the terminology. What is a testa and tegment? These both are a layers or a seed coat, which include outer is a testa and inner one is a tegment. Okay, and then on the seed coat there is a scar. Okay, specific type of a scar, and this scar is called hilum. Just you have see here. Okay, so whole is a very clear cut, but here you will see some scar like structure. Okay, and that is called hilum, through which developing seeds are attached to the fruit. Okay, and from here only a placenta will arrange with the ovary wall. Okay, and that's why scar is remaining even after the detachment from the ovary. So above the hilum, a pore, very small pore is there. You cannot even see that. Okay, so small pore is that, and that is called micropyle. And as I told you, this micropyle is a structure which will allow water to enter inside the seed. Okay, and here you can see cotyledon and plumule. As already I discussed about this, and here you can see this is the whole seed. Okay, on which this portion is there, that is called hilum, and this is the scar which has remained even after the detachment from the ovary, because by this hilum or this place, from this place placenta will be attached with the ovary. Okay, and here you can see very minute, very small pore on this. Okay, this is considered as a micropyle. Okay, and here other structures you can see cotyledon. Okay, then seed coat, outermost epicotyle, this one, then you can see hypocotyle, then radicle, endosperm and cotyledon. These all are the main parts of the any seed of a dicotyledonous seeds. Okay, so here you can see epicotyle region, then plumule region which is responsible for shoot development. Okay, shoot system development, then testa, this one outermost is a testa and innermost is the tegmen. Okay, then hypocotyl, this one is a hypocotyl, and then the tip of a hypocotyl is called radicle. From that only root system will be developed. Okay, so this is all structure, and you must be practice this diagram because this is from the textbook, and you just have to practice this diagram, and this question may be asked in 4 marks. Write down a structure of a dicotyledonous seed, and at that time you must be write these all definitions, okay, along with this all terminology, and just you have to draw this diagram. Now let me discuss more about dicotyledonous seeds. Within the seed coat, in the embryo consists of an embryonal axis. It will have embryonic axis and two cotyledon. These are two cotyledon. Okay, here you can see this is two cotyledon. Cotyledons are fleshy just because of it is full of a reserve food material, because some reserve food material and nutrients will be stored inside them. Okay, and that side become fleshy. So cotyledon here is a fleshy and full of a reserve food material. At the two end of the embryonal axis, the radicle and plumule are present. Already we have discussed that on the two ends Here you can see plumule, and this one is the radicle. Okay, and already I told you so many times, plumule is responsible for shoot development, and this radicle is responsible for root system development. And here let me discuss more about dicotyledonous seed. In some seeds, such as the castor, here you can see castor seeds photograph. The endosperm is formed due to double fertilization. Okay, the endosperm which is formed is just due to double fertilization, and it is a food storing tissue. Okay, and in the plants such as the bean, okay, here this you can see bean, rajma bean you can say, okay, bean, gram, pea, the seeds are non-endospermous. Okay, non-endospermous, that means endosperm is not seen in a mature seed. Here you will observe endosperm, but here you cannot observe any type of endosperm. This is the difference between, and so you have to remember the examples which seeds will have endosperm and which seed do not have endosperm. So here castor seed will have endosperm, and here in case of bean, gram, pea do not have any type of endosperm, and that's why they are called as a non-endospermous seeds. Now let me discuss about structure of monocotyledonous seeds. Okay, and generally monocot seeds are endospermic. You must be remember. Okay, so this is the endospermic, because what is the endospermic? Just let me discuss the definition of endosperm. Endosperm is the structure. Here you can say, suppose this is a seed in which you can observe two different segments are there. Inside the seed, two different segments are there. One is specifically designed for the nutrients. Okay, means one is rich with this nutrients like proteins and carbohydrates and all that. Okay, so all reserve food material or nutrition are stored in this segment, and this segment which is full with the nutrition is called endosperm. Okay, and the seed which having this endospermic structure is called endospermic seed. Okay, so here monocotyledonous seed having endosperm, and that's why all monocots, mostly all monocots are endospermic, but some are non-endospermic. Means some are the example which are not endospermic. That is example is a orchid. Orchid is a monocotyledonous but do not have any type of endosperm within the seed. Okay, so it is non-endospermic seeds. In cereals like maize, here you can see the photograph of a maize. The seed coat is a membranous. Here seed coat will be membranous and generally fused with the fruit wall. Okay, so this is a very unique thing which is observed in the maize. Seed coat is a membranous, okay, and generally fused with the fruit wall, and the endosperm is a bulky. Okay, endosperm here you will observe is a bulky and stored food. Okay, the outer covering of an endosperm separate the embryo by protein layer, and this protein layer, okay, that protein layer here you can see this yellowish color protein layer is called aileron layer. You must be remember this aileron layer. So this is the very unique diagram. Okay, and just you have to practice this diagram because this may be asked in the exam. Okay, if you write down a structure of a monocotyledonous seed, at that time you should write down these old definitions and all you can see here explanation, and then you have to draw this diagram along with these labels. So let me discuss about the diagram. So first of all, this is the monocotyledonous seed, right? Because of that only here you can observe endosperm is there. So seed itself, if you do the cross section, then you will observe that inside the seed there will be two chambers. One chamber is totally filled with the nutrition, and this chamber is called endosperm. Okay, and in the endosperm you can see outermost layer, this one is made up of protein, and that is called aileron layer. Okay, and here outermost is a seed coat and fruit wall layer also, and there is a protective layer. Then this one is called scutellum. Okay, and if you see like this, you can see here scutellum, this one. Okay, then coleoptile, plumule. Plumule, you can see coleoptile is a protecting layer to the plumule. Plumule is protected with the one more layer, and that is called coleoptile. Okay, radicle is also protected with one layer, and that is called coryza. Okay, so here plumule and radicle both are not naked as per the dicot branch. Okay, but here in case of a monocot, this plumule is also having one extra layer is a coleoptile, and radicle will have one extra layer that is in the form of a coryza. So you must be remember these all structures. Okay, and if you draw this diagram, you must be notice these all labels. Okay, otherwise you will not get any marks for this. So scutellum here you can see this is a coleoptile, plumule, Okay, then coryza, which protect the radicle, then ellurine layer and endosperm. These all are unique features and unique characteristic structure which is present in the monocotyledonous seeds. So now let me discuss more. The embryo is small and situated in the groove at one end of the endosperm. It consists of one large and shield shape. Here you must be noticed. It consists of one large and shield shape. Only one you can understand, because this is a monocotyledonous seed. Only one cotyledon will be present. But here cotyledon shape is very unique. It is large and shield shape. Okay, and such a cotyledon which is large and shield shape is called scutellum. You can notice scutellum here. Scutellum is nothing. It is a one different kind of cotyledon which is present in the monocotyledonous seed. Okay, so what is a scutellum? It is a one large shield shaped cotyledon and known as a scutellum. Okay, and the short axis with a plumule. You can see here this is a plumule and a radicle. Here plumule is protected with the sheath, extra sheath, and that is called coleoptile, and radicle is also protected with extra sheath or a layer, and that is called coryza. Okay, so here two unique structure is present here in this, particularly in case of a monocotyledon, which is not present in the dicotyledon. Okay, in case of a dicot, there is a plumule and radicle, but it is not protected. But here in case of a monocotyledon, the coleoptile and this coryza both are present. Okay, coleoptile is also, it is also pronounced as a coleoptile. Okay, coleoptile and coryza both are present to protect this particular plumule for coleoptile, and this radicle will be protected by the coryza. So this unique thing you must be remember. So now this is your homework for today's lecture, and before we finish this lecture, let me summarize our topic by using one animation video. So look at this video.
The word fruit makes one think of an apple, banana, or a mango. However, in biology, the term fruit has a much broader meaning. It is a fertilized ovary with seeds. However, certain fruits are formed without fertilization of the ovary and are therefore seedless. Such fruits are called parthenocarpic fruits, such as seedless watermelon, banana, and orange. Parthenocarpy can be a natural process or may be artificially induced. Once fertilization takes place in a flower, the ovary ripens to form the fruit and the ovules form the seeds. Typically, a fruit is made up of two parts: the pericarp and the seed. The pericarp is the fruit wall, and it can be thick and fleshy as in mango or dry as in hazelnut. In the mango, the pericarp is differentiated into three distinct layers: the epicarp, which is the outermost layer or peel; the mesocarp, which is the thick pulpy middle layer; and the endocarp, which is the innermost layer that directly surrounds the seed. Fruits such as mango and peach are also called drupes. Drupes are single-seeded fleshy fruits that develop from monocarpellary superior ovaries. Apart from the pericarp, the other part of a fruit is the seed. Based on the number of cotyledons, the seeds of flowering plants are classified as dicotyledonous and monocotyledonous. A seed with two cotyledons is called dicotyledonous, and with a single cotyledon is called monocotyledonous. In a dicotyledonous seed, the outermost covering is the seed coat and is made up of two layers: the outer testa and the inner tegmen. The seed coat also has a scar on its surface called the hilum, which helps attach the seed to the fruit. Above the hilum is the micropyle, a small pore in the outer coat of the seed. It is through the micropyle that the pollen tube enters an ovule. Inside the seed coat lies the embryo, which comprises an embryonal axis and two cotyledons. At the two ends of the embryonal axis lie the plumule and the radicle. The cotyledons are often fleshy and store reserve food materials. In some seeds, such as castor, the developing embryo is surrounded by a nutritive tissue called the endosperm, which stores food and helps the embryo grow. Seeds with endosperm are called endospermic. Whereas in seeds like mango, the endosperm is absent. Such seeds are called non-endospermic. Like dicotyledonous seeds, the outermost covering of monocotyledonous seeds is also known as the seed coat. For example, the maize seed has a membranous seed coat that is usually fused with the fruit wall. Moreover, like dicotyledonous seeds, monocotyledonous seeds can be endospermic as in maize or non-endospermic as in Cymodocea. The endosperm of maize is bulky and stores food, while the embryo is tiny and is placed in a grove at one end of the endosperm. The embryo is separated from the endosperm by a proteinous layer known as the aleuron layer and is made up of a single large shield-shaped cotyledon called the scutellum. The embryo also has a short axis with a plumule and a radicle. The plumule is enclosed by a sheath called the coleoptile, and the radicle by a sheath called the coleorhiza. Thus, seeds are formed from the ovules and help in reproduction, while a fruit is formed from the ovary and is the characteristic feature of flowering plants.
In next lecture, we will learn about some important families of flowering plants. So till then, goodbye.